Welcome back to Z Coins. Today we are diving into a world of copper and history to explore the top 10 most valuable Abraham Lincoln pennies that are worth a fortune. Yes, you heard that right. Some of these humble 1-cent coins have sold for thousands and even millions of dollars in the collector's market. You might even have one sitting in a jar or drawer right now, so grab your magnifying glass and get ready to dig through your change because one of these pennies could change your life forever. Make sure to stick around until number 1, because it's a true legend in the coin collecting world. Let's get started. We're talking about the 1968 D. Lincoln penny and how this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth way more than just 1 cent now. We all know that the Lincoln penny has been around since 1909, but the coin minted in Denver in 1968 has some secrets that not everyone knows about. On the surface, it looks like every other penny, a copper coin with the profile of President Abraham Lincoln facing, write the words "In God We Trust" above his head, liberty to the left, and the date 1968 with a tiny D beneath it, to show it was minted in Denver. But trust me, there's more to this little coin than meets the eye. Let's take a quick dive into the background of this coin. First of all, 1968 was a significant year in American history. The nation was in the middle of social and political upheaval with the Vietnam War protests and the civil rights movement at their peak in the numismatic world, though the U.S. Mint had just resumed placing mint marks on coins after a short pause from 1965 to 1967, so the D for Denver returned in 1968, making this coin part of a short transitional era. Now let's talk about what makes this coin special. There were over 2.8 billion 1968 D Lincoln cents struck, so on paper that sounds like the coin would be very common, right? But here's where collectors get excited. Not all 1968 D pennies are created equal. Some of them have rare errors, some are in such pristine condition that they are extremely valuable, and some have unique doubling or other features that drive their prices way up. One of the most sought-after features for the 1968 D penny is known as a double die error. This is when the coin die used to stamp the penny was misaligned during production, causing letters and numbers to appear doubled. For example, if you look closely at the word liberty or the date 1968, you might see a shadow effect or doubling on the characters. This kind of error is rare, and coin collectors will pay top dollar for a confirmed double die. Another key factor in value is the condition of the coin. In the world of coin grading, the difference between a penny that's been circulating for decades and one that's been preserved in mint state is huge. In 1968 D penny in heavily worn condition might only be worth its face value of 1 cent, maybe a few cents to a collector who's just starting out. But if you've got a coin that's in near perfect condition, especially one graded mint state 65 or higher, then you could be looking at a coin worth $20, $50, even a few hundred. In some cases, depending on demand and rarity. Let's look at some actual sales to give you an idea of what these coins can fetch in recent years. Certified 1968 D Lincoln cents graded at MS67 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC have sold for over $500. That's right, a single penny selling for hundreds of dollars, and in some cases with the right error or unique feature, the coin has brought even more at auction. So how can you tell if your 1968 D penny is valuable? First, start by checking the condition. Does it have a lot of scratches, dents, or wear? If it looks brand new and still shines like it was minted yesterday, that's a great sign. Second, look closely at the lettering and numbers. Do you see any doubling, especially on liberty or the date? That could be a double die. Next, check the edges of the coin. Look for any off-center strikes or signs of lamination errors or planchet flaws. All of these are features that can increase a coin's value significantly. Of course, the best way to find out is to have your coin graded by a professional grading service. They will certify its authenticity and condition and provide a standardized grade that buyers and collectors trust. Having your coin graded could make the difference between someone offering you a few bucks and someone bidding hundreds for your Lincoln cent. It's also worth noting that even if your coin isn't rare or in mint condition, it still has historical value. It's a piece of American history bearing the face of one of the country's greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln, and representing a tumultuous and pivotal year in American life. The copper content alone in older pennies also gives them a bit more intrinsic value than the newer coins, which are mostly zinc. So, whether you're a serious collector or just someone who loves the thrill of discovering treasure in everyday places, the 1968 D penny is one you should definitely look out for. Check your change, check your drawers, check that old coin jar at grandma's house. You never know what could be sitting right under your nose. Before we wrap up, here's a quick summary. If your 1968 D penny is in mint state, it could be worth anywhere from $20 to over $500 depending on condition and whether it has any rare features. If you spot doubling or errors, that value could climb even higher. Even circulated coins can fetch a premium if they have unusual traits. So the next time you get a penny back at the store, don't just toss it in a jar, flip it over. Take a close look and see if you might be holding a hidden gem, because that little coin from 1968 might just be your ticket to a small fortune. If you have a jar of old pennies sitting at home or have recently come across an old coin in your pocket change, you might want to listen closely. Today we are diving deep into the world of one of the most mysterious and valuable pennies in modern numismatics, the 1970 D. Lincoln cent. That is right, the Denver minted penny from the year 1970. What looks like an ordinary coin at first glance could be hiding a small fortune. Now, before we go further, let us set the stage. The Lincoln penny has been around since 1909, and it is one of the most iconic and collected coins in United States history. By 1970, the reverse still featured the Lincoln Memorial design, which had been introduced in 1959, replacing the wheat stalks from earlier decades. On the obverse side, of course, is the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which remains unchanged to this day. But what makes the 1970 D penny so special? The answer lies in its rarity, minting anomalies, and collector demand. First off, let us be clear. Not every 1970 D penny is worth more than 1 cent. In fact, millions were minted. However, a small number of these coins contain a variety or error that can make them incredibly valuable to collectors today. One of the most famous errors on this coin is the small date versus large date variety. On the Philadelphia version, which is the one without a mint mark, there is a very noticeable difference between the small date and large date. But on the Denver mint coin, which has the small d under the year, collectors are always looking for sharp strikes and high grades. The Denver Mint struck over 2.6 billion pennies in that year, but only a small fraction survived in pristine uncirculated condition. This brings us to grading. Coin grading is the process of determining the condition of a coin. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with MS60 to MS70 indicating mint state or uncirculated quality. A 1970 D penny in heavily circulated condition might only be worth face value. However, if it is in mint state condition, particularly MS65 and above, that same penny can be worth much more. Now let us talk money. In the current market, a 1970 D Lincoln penny graded MS65, read by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC, can sell for between $20 and $100 depending on demand. But here is where things get really interesting. If the coin is graded MS67 red or higher, prices jump significantly. There are reported auction results where examples in superb condition have sold for over $2,000. Yes, you heard that right, a common-looking penny from 1970 can fetch thousands if it is flawless. The most valuable examples are the ones that not only are in excellent condition but also display full red coloration. That is because copper coins, like pennies, tend to tone and darken over time. A red designation means the coin still has 95% or more of its original red mint luster. This is extremely rare after more than 50 years unless the coin was well preserved. And what about varieties and errors? Some 1970 D pennies have die cracks, off-center strikes, or doubling errors. If you have a penny with what looks like double letters on the date or mint mark, it might be a double die variety. These can be worth a premium too. Though most doubling seen on 1970 D pennies is machine doubling and not true double dies, it is still worth checking with a magnifying glass or loupe. Now let us not forget about proof coins. The 1970s small date proof penny is another highly sought-after rarity, but that is from the San Francisco Mint, not the Denver one. Still, it is worth mentioning because many people confuse the two. The 1970 D penny is a business strike meant for circulation and was never produced in proof format. That makes high-grade business strikes even more special because they were not intended to be perfect. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1970 D penny? First, check its condition. Look at the surfaces for nicks, scratches, or wear. The fewer flaws, the better. Next, consider getting it appraised or graded by a professional coin grading service. A small investment in grading can make a huge difference in resale value. And finally, keep it safe. Store it in a coin flip or airtight capsule away from moisture and air to preserve its quality. To recap, the 1970 D Lincoln penny might look like any other coin in your change, but under the right conditions it can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Whether you are a seasoned collector or just getting started, keep an eye out for this little copper treasure. Check your change, check your old jars, and who knows? Maybe you have a valuable coin sitting unnoticed right now. we uncover the hidden treasures in your pocket change. Today, we are diving deep into the world of one of America's most iconic coins, the 1973 Lincoln 1-cent penny. It might seem like just another old penny to some people, but coin collectors know that these coins can carry a story, and in some cases, a serious value. Let's begin with a little bit of history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and was the first United States coin to feature a real person. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin has featured Lincoln's bust ever since, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Now let's fast forward to 1973. The United States Mint struck millions of Lincoln cents that year, both for circulation and for collectors. They were minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint coins do not have a mint mark, while those struck in Denver have a small d, and the San Francisco proof coins carry an S.IN. 1973. The copper content of pennies was still high. These coins were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition is important because copper has real-world value. In fact, the melt value of a pre-1982 penny is often higher than 1 cent simply due to the copper content, although melting pennies for profit is illegal in the United States. Now let's talk mintages. In 1973, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 3.5 billion pennies. That's right, billions. The Denver Mint contributed over 3 billion coins. And the San Francisco Mint produced around 2.5 million proof coins, which were never intended for general circulation and were instead sold to collectors in special sets. So with all these billions of coins, you might wonder, why would a 1973 penny be worth more than face value? The answer lies in condition, rarity, errors, and collector demand. Let's start with condition. A 1973 penny found in your pocket is most likely worn and only worth 1 cent. But an uncirculated coin, especially one graded mint state 65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can be worth significantly more. A typical 1973 Philadelphia penny in mint state 65 might be worth $1 to $5. But in higher grades like mint state 67 or better, the price can jump to $30, $50, or even more. Now let's talk about the Denver minted coins. A 1973 D penny in mint state 65 condition is usually worth around $2 to $5, depending on the current market and collector interest. However, extremely high-grade examples, especially those with deep red coloration, have fetched prices well over $100 at auction. And then there's the San Francisco proof coin. The 1973 Lincoln proof penny is highly collectible, especially in pristine condition. A flawless proof 69 deep cameo coin can be worth between $15 and $30. The rare proof 70 deep cameo versions have been known to sell for over $100. But what really gets collectors excited are error coins. And the 1973 penny has its fair share. Look out for double die obverse examples where parts of the lettering or date appear to be doubled. These errors can be valuable, with some selling for $50, $100, or even more depending on how dramatic the doubling is and the coin's overall condition. Another error to look for is the off-center strike. If a 1973 penny was struck off-center and still shows a good portion of the design, it can be worth between $10 and $100 or more depending on how far off-center the strike is. The more dramatic the error, the higher the value. There are also clipped planchet errors, where a piece of the coin is missing due to a mistake during the cutting process. These can range from $5 to $50 depending on the size and shape of the clip. Let's not forget about coins struck on the wrong planchet. If a 1973 penny was accidentally struck on a dime planchet or a foreign coin blank, it can be extremely rare and valuable. Some of these errors have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now you might be asking, how do I know if I have one of these valuable coins? First, check the date and mint mark. Then examine the coin's condition. Is it shiny and nearly flawless? Or is it scratched and worn? Next, look closely for any signs of doubling in the lettering or numbers. A magnifying glass or coin loop can help with this. If you think you've found an error, it's worth sending it in to a professional grading service to get an expert opinion. So, what's the current market for these coins? In 2025, collector demand for Lincoln cents remains strong. While common circulated coins still trade for face value, High-grade examples and error coins continue to sell for premium prices on online auction sites and through coin dealers. The best prices come from coins that are graded, verified, and in pristine condition. To recap, the 1973 Lincoln penny might not look like much, but it holds value for collectors thanks to its high copper content, historical significance, and the occasional error or high-grade specimen. If you've got a jar of old pennies lying around, it might be worth taking a second look. Who knows, you could be holding on to a small fortune without even realizing it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video if you found it helpful and subscribe to the channel for more hidden coin values, collector secrets, and treasure hunting tips. Drop a comment below if you found a rare penny or if you have questions about a coin in your collection. We are diving deep into a coin that you might have sitting in a jar, tucked away in your drawer, or even jingling in your pocket, the 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny. It looks ordinary, but did you know that this small copper coin could be worth far more than just a single cent? That's right. What most people overlook could actually be a hidden treasure. So buckle in as we uncover the history, design, interesting facts, and the current market value of the 1975 Lincoln penny. Let's start with the background. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of Lady Liberty. The coin was designed by Victor David Brenner and has gone through some changes over the years. But the version we are discussing today, the one minted in 1975, belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The 1975 penny is made primarily of copper. In fact, it is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This is important to note because in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a primarily zinc composition due to the rising cost of copper. So all Lincoln pennies from before 1982, including the 1975 penny, are more valuable simply because of their metal content. But how much is a 1975 penny really worth? In most cases, a circulated 1975 penny is worth 1 cent. However, some special varieties and error coins are highly sought after by collectors and can fetch big money at auctions. Let's talk about why. First up, condition matters. If your 1975 penny is in mint state condition, meaning it has never been used in circulation and shows no signs of wear, it could be worth anywhere from $5 to $50 or more depending on its grade. Professional coin grading services such as PCGS and NGC evaluate coins based on their condition on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS65 or higher is considered excellent. But what really drives up the price is when there are errors. That's right. Mint errors can transform an ordinary coin into a rare and valuable collector's item. Some of the most valuable 1975 Lincoln penny errors include double die obverse, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks. Let's break those down. A double die obverse is when the design elements on the front of the coin appear doubled. This happens when the die itself shifts between strikes. If you see a 1975 penny where the date, the word Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" looks like it has a shadow or duplicate letters, you might be holding a double die coin. These can sell for hundreds of dollars or more depending on the intensity of the doubling. An off-center strike occurs when the coin is not properly aligned with the dies during minting. As a result, part of the design is missing or pushed to one side. If the coin is significantly off-center, especially more than 50%, and still shows the date clearly, it becomes highly collectible. Another type of error is the repunched mint mark. In 1975, pennies were minted in Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Denver have a small D mint mark under the date. A repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark is stamped more than once, slightly off from the original strike. These small anomalies can be worth a surprising amount. Now, how much can these error coins sell for today? Here are some real numbers from recent auctions. A 1975 D Lincoln cent with a strong double die error recently sold for over $900. Another 1975 penny with an off-center strike sold for more than $350. And a near-perfect mint state 1975 penny with no errors, just a top-notch condition, sold for over $200. It's also worth mentioning that copper value plays a role. With copper prices on the rise, even a common 1975 penny has more intrinsic metal value than its face value. While it's still illegal to melt down pennies for their metal, it's a reminder that these coins have hidden value So what should you look for? Step 1. Check the year. You want a 1975 Lincoln Memorial penny. Step 2. Flip it over. Inspect both the front and the back under a magnifying glass or phone camera. Look for doubling, strange marks, missing details, or anything that looks off. Step 3. Check the color and shine. A brilliant uncirculated coin will look much different from a dull circulated one. And finally, consider grading if you think your coin is in excellent shape or has a visible error. The bottom line is this: the 1975 Lincoln penny is more than just a copper coin. It's a piece of American history and possibly a hidden gem worth serious money. Whether you are a new collector or just curious about what's in your change jar, keep your eyes open. You never know when a 1-cent coin might be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and hidden treasure guides. We are diving deep into the fascinating story behind the 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny. We will talk about its origin, what makes it special, its historical background, and how much it could be worth today in the collector's market. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny. As we know, it was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. This marked the first time a real person was used on a regular issue United States coin. Before this, coins usually featured symbolic images like Lady Liberty or an eagle. The Lincoln cent was a big step forward in U.S. coin design, and it quickly became a fixture of American currency. Now let's fast forward to 1977. That year, the United States Mint struck more than 4.4 billion Lincoln pennies at the Philadelphia Mint and over 4.2 billion at the Denver Mint. That's right, billions with a B. So you might be wondering, if there are so many of these coins out there, how could they possibly be valuable? Well, here's where things get interesting. Not all 1977 pennies are created equal. Most of them are worth just face value, especially if they have been circulating for decades. But in the world of numismatics, the condition, the mint mark, and even minor errors can make a huge difference in value. Let's break it down. First, we talk about the metal content. The 1977 Lincoln penny is made primarily of copper. Specifically, it's composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That's important because in 1982, the composition changed to copper-plated zinc, which contains far less actual copper, so 1977 pennies still have a relatively high copper content, which gives them a bit of intrinsic value based on metal alone. Next up is the condition of the coin. This is where grading comes in. Coin grading is a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect uncirculated coin. In 1977 penny in average circulated condition is typically worth just 1 cent, maybe slightly more if the copper market goes up. But a 1977 penny in mint state condition, meaning it looks like it was just struck yesterday with no wear and full original luster, can be worth much more. Let me give you some actual numbers. A 1977 Lincoln penny graded MS65 by the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, can be worth around $5 to $10. That might not sound like a lot, but remember, this is a coin you might find in your pocket change or coin jar. If you happen to find one in superb condition without scratches, dents, or wear it, might fetch up to $25 or even $30. Now let's talk about mint marks. There are two major versions of the 1977 penny: the ones struck in Philadelphia, which have no mint mark, and the ones struck in Denver, which have a small letter D beneath the date. There's also a proof version from San Francisco marked with an S, but those were sold to collectors and are not typically found in circulation. While both the Philadelphia and Denver mint coins are common, the Denver issues tend to be slightly more valuable in high grades due to stronger strikes. If you find a 1977 D penny in MS67 condition or higher, you could be looking at a value over $100. Rare, but it happens. But now for the real fun, the error coins. Error coins are accidental misprints or problems during the minting process, and collectors love them. A 1977 penny with a double die obverse, where the image or lettering is doubled due to a misalignment during striking, can be worth hundreds of dollars depending on the severity and condition. Similarly, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and other anomalies can drive up the value significantly. One famous example is a 1977 penny with a major off-center strike sold for over $200 at auction. These are extremely rare and sought after by collectors who specialize in mint errors. So what does all this mean for you? It means that the humble 1977 Lincoln penny hiding in your change or coin jar might be worth a lot more than 1 cent, but it depends on what you have. Look for signs of high quality, sharp details, no wear, and possible unusual features or errors. To check your coins properly, you should get a magnifying glass, good lighting, and a basic coin grading guide. If you think you have something really special, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for certification that can boost its market value, especially if you want to sell. Speaking of the market, let's talk about where and how to sell. If you want to sell a Valuable 1977 penny. You can try online platforms like eBay, Etsy, or coin collecting forums. Auctions are also a great option, especially for high-grade or error coins. And of course, visiting a reputable coin dealer or local coin show can give you insights into the coin's real market value. As of now, in 2025, the price for high-grade 1977 pennies is relatively steady, but as copper prices rise and coin collecting grows in popularity, these values could increase. In other words, holding on to a high-quality 1977 penny might just pay off in the future. In conclusion, while most 1977 Lincoln pennies are common and worth just 1 cent, there are exceptions that can be worth $10, $20, or even a few $100s. The key is in the details. Look at the condition, the mint mark, and any possible errors or unique features. So the next time you go through your spare change or dig through that old coin jar at your grandparents' house, keep an eye out for the 1977 Lincoln penny. It might just be more valuable than you think. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on more coin collecting tips and history facts. Drop a comment below. We uncover the hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1981 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. While many people overlook the small coin, thinking it's just another ordinary cent, the truth is that some of these coins can be worth a surprising amount of money in today's market. By the end of this video, you'll know what to look for, how much your 1981 penny could be worth, and the history behind this iconic piece of American currency. Let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first time a U.S. president was featured on a circulating coin. The design featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, which was created by Victor David Brenner. Over the decades, the reverse design evolved from the original wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959. Fast forward to 1981. This was one of the final years that the Lincoln Memorial reverse was struck on a copper-based planchet. In 1982, the U.S. Mint made a major composition change, switching from copper to a primarily zinc-based planchet due to rising metal costs. So, the 1981 penny holds significance as one of the last full copper cents, and that already adds historical and collector value. Now let's talk about the specifications of the 1981 Lincoln cent. The 1981 penny weighs about 3.11 grams, and it is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. It features the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, and the Lincoln Memorial Building on the reverse. On the obverse, you will also find the inscription "In God We Trust" at the top, Liberty to the left, and the date 1981 to the right. Depending on the mint location, there may also be a mint mark under the date, a small D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or no mint mark indicating the Philadelphia Mint. Now here is where things get really interesting. In 1981, the U.S. Mint produced over 13 billion pennies across all three mints. However, not all 1981 cents are created equal. There are varieties and errors that can make your coin worth much more than 1 cent. One key variety is the 1981 S Type 1 and Type 2 proof pennies. The Type 1 has a more filled-in and blurry S mint mark, while the Type 2 features a clearer, more sharply defined S. The Type 2 proof is significantly rarer and can sell for over $100 in perfect condition. These coins were struck in San Francisco and sold in special proof sets, so they typically have a mirror-like finish and sharper details. Then we have mint errors. These are the coins that were accidentally struck with mistakes, and collectors love them. Examples include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong metal. For example, a 1981 penny with a strong doubling on the date or lettering, known as a double die obverse, can bring in serious money. Depending on the severity of the error and the coin's condition, such errors can fetch anywhere from $50 to several $100s. Next, let's talk about grading. Coin grading is the process of determining the condition of a coin. It ranges from poor, with heavy wear and damage, all the way up to mint state, which is a coin that looks virtually flawless. A 1981 penny in average circulated condition is usually only worth face value. But if your coin is in uncirculated condition, especially graded MS65 or higher, it can sell for $1 to $5 or more, depending on the buyer and the market. Rare errors or varieties in high grades can be worth a lot more. Let's break down the approximate value ranges. A circulated 1981 penny with no mint mark is generally worth 1 to 2 cents because of its copper content. In bulk, Copper cents are often saved by collectors for their intrinsic value. A 1981 D penny struck in Denver follows a similar value range unless it has a notable error or is in pristine condition. Now the 1981 S-proof penny is where we see bigger differences. Type 1 proof pennies generally sell for around $1 to $3. But the 1981 S-Type 2 penny in a certified proof 69 condition can be worth upwards of $100. Sometimes more if the demand is high and the coin is perfectly preserved. As of now in the collector's market, rare 1981-era pennies have been known to sell for hundreds of dollars at auction. A particularly high-grade example with a strong die error could even reach the $1,000 mark depending on its rarity and appeal to collectors. So how do you know if your 1981 penny is worth more than 1 cent? Here's what you need to do. First, examine your coin under good lighting. Look for unusual features like doubling, off-center strikes, or anything that looks out of place. Then check the mint mark and determine whether it's a proof coin or a regular business strike. If it's an S mint mark with mirror-like surfaces, it might be a proof. Compare the S to reference images of Type 1 and Type 2 to see if you have a rarer variety. Next, weigh the coin. A standard 1981 copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If the weight is significantly different, it may be an error coin struck on the wrong planchet. Finally, if your coin looks promising, consider sending it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate and grade your coin, which can significantly increase its value if it is indeed a rare variety or high-grade example. In conclusion, the 1981 Lincoln penny is more than just pocket change. Whether it's a rare proof, a dramatic error, or a well-preserved example of the last copper cents, these coins hold hidden value. Keep an eye out for those S-mint marks, sharp details, and signs of doubling. That small copper coin in your change jar could be worth a whole lot more than 1 cent. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins you might already own, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let us know in the comments. If you're new here, get ready because today we're diving deep into one of the most surprising and fascinating stories in American coin history, the 1982 D Lincoln penny. You might want to check your change jar or that old piggy bank because this seemingly ordinary 1 cent coin could actually be worth thousands of dollars. Now let's start at the beginning to understand why this coin is so special. The year is 1982. Ronald Reagan is president. Gas is cheap. MTV is still playing music videos. But over at the US Mint, something interesting is happening with the penny. For decades, the Lincoln penny had been made primarily of copper. But due to rising metal costs, the mint decided that change was needed. Literally. So in 1982, they began the transition from a copper composition to a cheaper zinc core coated in copper. This made the coins lighter and more cost-effective to produce. But here's the twist. Because the transition happened mid-year, the mint actually produced 7 different varieties of the 1982 Lincoln cent. Yes, you heard that right. 7 varieties in just 1 year. And here they are. First, you have large date and small date versions from the Philadelphia Mint, both in copper and in zinc. Then you have the large date copper and large date zinc from the Denver Mint. That makes 6. But the 7th is the unicorn, the one you want to pay attention to, the 1982 D small date copper penny. Officially, the Denver Mint was never supposed to strike small date pennies in copper that year. But somehow at least a few escaped the mint and made it into circulation. This is the rare one, the coin that breaks the mold. The 1982 D small date copper penny is so rare that only a few have ever been certified by top grading services like PCGS and NGC. So how can you tell if you have one of these valuable coins? Well, here are the steps. First, check the date on your penny. If it says 1982 and has a small date font, you're 1 step closer. The small date features a more delicate numeral design. The top of the number 8 lines up more evenly. The 2 is curled in a tighter way. It's more compact overall compared to the large date version. Next, look for the D mint mark just under the date. That D means the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. If you've got a small date with a D mint mark, it's time for the third and most critical test. Weigh the coin. A genuine copper penny from 1982 should weigh about 3.1 grams. A zinc penny weighs only 2.5 grams. This small difference is key. Use a precise digital scale to weigh it. If your 1982 D small date penny weighs around 3.1 grams. Congratulations. You may have found a coin worth thousands. Now let's talk numbers. In 2016, one of these ultra-rare 1982 D small date copper pennies sold for over $18,000 at auction. That's right, a 1-cent coin fetching over 18 grand. Why? Because it's a major mint error, a true rarity, the kind of coin collectors dream about. Even lower grade examples have fetched thousands, and prices can go higher if more examples aren't discovered. It's all about scarcity and demand. The fewer there are, the more valuable they become. But even if you don't find the rare small-date copper penny from Denver, your 1982 pennies might still be worth more than face value. For example, high-grade copper pennies from 1982 can sell for a few dollars each if they're in mint state condition. That means no scratches, full luster, and sharp details. Proof-like coins and error coins from 1982 also carry a premium. Collectors are always on the lookout for double dies, off-center strikes, and other mint mistakes. So examine those coins closely. Look under a magnifier. You never know what you might find. And remember, the coin collecting community is huge. There are people who specialize in just Lincoln cents. There are full registry sets, competitive collections, and there's always room for that one mystery coin to rewrite the record books. So the next time you find an old penny in your pocket or your junk drawer, take a moment. Look closely, weigh it, study the date, because it could be one of the rarest modern U.S. coins out there. Before we wrap up, here are a few quick tips to help you search effectively. Use a sensitive digital gram scale. These are affordable and essential for identifying metal composition. Keep a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe on hand. Even a smartphone camera can help if you zoom in carefully. Store any suspicious or high-quality finds in coin flips or holders. Protect them from damage. And when in doubt, consult with a certified coin dealer or send your coin in for grading. PCGS and NGC are both respected, and their certification can dramatically increase the resale value of your coin. That's all for today's video, but I hope you learned something valuable. Maybe even valuable enough to turn your penny into a small fortune. If you're a coin collector, a history buff, or just someone curious about the spare change rattling around in your pocket, you're going to love today's video. We're diving deep into a small but mighty coin, the 2001 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it might seem like just another ordinary coin, but don't be fooled. Some of these tiny copper pieces are worth way more than just 1 cent. Today, we're going to explore the story behind this iconic coin, what makes some of them rare, and how much they could be worth in today's market. So make sure to watch until the end. You might be surprised to find out you've been carrying a treasure in your pocket all along. Let's kick things off by going back to the beginning. The penny has a long and fascinating history in the United States, and the Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic coins ever made. Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the penny in 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of his birth. This was a huge deal because it was the first time a real person, a former president no less, had been featured on a U.S. coin intended for general circulation. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent has remained in use for over a century, making it the longest-running coin design in American history. Now, fast forward to the year 2001. By this time, the Lincoln penny had already undergone several changes. The reverse side, for instance, had featured the Lincoln Memorial since 1959. This design was created to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The 2001 penny continues with this memorial design, showing the iconic Lincoln seated inside, which you can even see if you look closely with a magnifying glass. The obverse of the coin, meaning the front side, still shows that famous profile of Abraham Lincoln. But while the design remained largely the same, the materials used had changed significantly over time. You see, prior to 1982, pennies were made mostly of copper. But due to the rising cost of copper, the U.S. Mint made a change. From 1982 onward, pennies were primarily composed of zinc with a thin copper coating. So, the 2001 penny is mostly zinc, only about 2.5% copper. That said, there are still certain variations and errors that make some 2001 pennies much more valuable than their face value. So what exactly should you be looking for in a 2001 penny that could make it valuable? Let's talk about the key details collectors watch for. One of the most important factors is whether your coin has a mint mark. The mint mark tells you where the coin was made. If your penny has a D under the date, that means it was minted in Denver. If there's no mint mark at all, it came from the Philadelphia Mint. There's also a smaller batch that came from the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, but those were typically proof coins made for collectors. Next up are coin errors and variations. These are the real treasures in the coin collecting world. Some 2001 pennies were struck off-center, meaning the stamping machine didn't align the die properly. Others may have doubling in the text or Lincoln's features, known as a double die. There are also rare instances where the penny was struck on the wrong metal blank, which can result in dramatic color or weight differences. These error coins can be worth anywhere from a few dollars to several hundred, depending on the severity and rarity of the mistake. Another thing that affects value is the condition of the coin. In the coin collecting world, condition is king. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, with MS-70 being a perfect, uncirculated coin. A 2001 penny in average circulated condition is still worth 1 cent, maybe 2 cents to a beginner collector. But a 2001 penny in mint condition, especially one with an error, can sell for much more. In fact, some pristine 2001 pennies with rare minting errors have sold for up to $100 or more in auctions. That's right, $100 for a coin you might find in your change jar. You're probably wondering, how can you find one of these valuable coins yourself? Well, the good news is it doesn't take much. All you need is a magnifying glass, some patience, and a sharp eye for detail. Start by checking all your spare change. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, and any unusual features. Pay attention to any doubling in the letters or numbers, or any parts of the design that look misaligned. And of course, take note of the overall condition. The less wear and tear, the better. You can also buy unsearched coin rolls from banks or online sellers. These are rolls of pennies that haven't been checked for valuable coins, giving you a chance to strike gold, so to speak. Just be cautious and do your research before buying online to avoid scams. And if you think you've found something special, consider getting your coin professionally graded by a reputable company like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can significantly increase the value of your coin and help you get a better price if you decide to sell it. What's the current market value of a 2001 penny in 2025? For regular circulated pennies, the value is usually still 1 cent, unless it's in very fine condition. But for uncirculated coins or those with verified errors, you're looking at values between $5 and over $100, depending on rarity and grade. Proof coins from San Francisco can fetch even higher prices, especially if they've been kept in pristine condition. In conclusion, while most 2001 Lincoln pennies won't make you rich, there are definitely a few out there that are worth far more than 1 cent. Whether it's due to a rare mint error, a high-grade condition, or a unique variation, the value can add up quickly. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. The thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of finding something special, and the stories each coin tells. So next time you're counting change or checking under the couch cushions, take a closer look at those pennies. You might just find a piece of history that's worth a whole lot more than you think. We are diving deep into the story, value, and surprising worth of the 2014 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. While it may seem like just another modern coin, some of these pennies are actually worth far more than face value. Stick around to find out why collectors are paying serious money for what many people consider pocket change. Let's start with a little bit of background on the penny itself. The 1-cent coin in the United States features the 16th President Abraham Lincoln and has done so since 1909. That year marked the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and to honor him, the U.S. Mint decided to place his portrait on the front of the penny. This made the Lincoln cent the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic image. Fast forward to the year 2014. By this time, the reverse of the Lincoln penny had already been changed several times. Originally, the back of the penny featured 2 stalks of wheat, known as the wheat cent, from 1909 to 1958. After that, the Lincoln Memorial design took over from 1959 until 2008. Then came the Lincoln Bicentennial Series in 2009, which had 4 different reverse designs to honor Lincoln's life. Starting in 2010, the reverse changed once again to the Union Shield design, which remains in use today. This is the design you see on the 2014 penny. The 2014 Lincoln Shield cent was struck in large quantities, and you'll find them minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and also in San Francisco as proof coins. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, the Denver coins have a D mint mark, and the San Francisco proof coins carry an S mint mark. These proof coins are struck with a special process, giving them a mirror-like finish and fine detail, and they were only available in proof sets sold by the U.S. Mint. Now let's talk composition. Unlike older pennies that were made primarily of copper, the modern 2014 penny is composed of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. It has a weight of 2.5 grams and a diameter of 19 millimeters. Because they're made mostly of zinc, they're not particularly valuable based on metal content. But some 2014 pennies are still worth much more than a cent. And here's where it gets interesting. The value of a 2014 Lincoln penny depends on a few factors. First, its condition. A coin in uncirculated condition with a strong strike and nowhere can be worth more to collectors, especially if it's been graded by a professional coin grading service. Mint state coins graded MS-65 or higher can sell for a few dollars each. But that's just the beginning. There are also special varieties and errors that drive up value significantly. For example, some 2014 pennies have been found with double dies. A double die error occurs when the coin die strikes the planchet with a slight misalignment or doubling in the design. This can result in visible doubling of letters, numbers, or features like Lincoln's I or the date. These error coins can sell from $10 to several $100s depending on how prominent the doubling is and the condition of the coin. Another kind of error that can increase the value of a 2014 penny is an off-center strike. In this case, the coin was not properly aligned when struck, causing part of the design to be missing. The more off-center it is, the higher the potential value, especially if the date is still visible. These coins can be worth anywhere from $5 to over $100 depending on the degree of the error. Coins struck on the wrong planchet are also incredibly rare but highly sought after. These are coins that were mistakenly struck using a blank intended for a different denomination, like a dime or a foreign coin. If a 2014 penny was struck on a dime planchet, for example, it would appear smaller and lighter than normal. These types of mint errors are very valuable and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and condition. Proof coins from 2014, especially those with a perfect grade of PR70, can also sell for good money. While most proof coins in their original government packaging may be worth just a few dollars, a graded PR70 Deep Cameo penny from 2014 can bring anywhere from $20 to $50 or more, depending on demand. Let's talk about real-world examples. On various online auction platforms, collectors have paid surprising amounts for high-quality or error 2014 pennies. For example, a 2014 D penny with a strong double die error in mint state condition has sold for over $150. Another coin, a proof 2014 S penny graded PR70 Deep Cameo by PCGS, has fetched up to $75 in past sales. These numbers fluctuate depending on market trends, but it's clear that there's serious interest among collectors. Even common 2014 pennies in brilliant uncirculated rolls can sell for a small premium. For example, a full roll of 50 uncirculated 2014 D cents might sell for $5 to $8. It's not a fortune, but it's several times the face value. So what should you look for in your pocket change? Start by checking the date and mint mark. If it's a 2014 penny, inspect it closely for signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or other visible errors. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Also, keep an eye out for coins that look especially sharp, clean, and free of wear. Those may be worth setting aside or even submitting for grading. In conclusion, while the majority of 2014 Lincoln pennies are worth just 1 cent, there are definitely exceptions. Whether it's due to pristine condition, rare mint errors, or simply high collector demand, some of these coins can be worth a lot more. If you're a coin collector or even just a casual enthusiast, it's definitely worth taking a closer look at the pennies you receive in change. You never know, you might be holding on to a small treasure without even realizing it. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more coin collecting content. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a valuable penny, and let us know what year and type it was. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of the Abraham Lincoln 2021 1 cent penny coin. This little copper coin might seem ordinary at first glance, but it holds a rich history and in recent times has attracted significant attention from collectors and investors alike. So if you want to learn about the history, the design, the rarity, and the current market value of the 2021 Lincoln penny, stay tuned. Because this video is packed with interesting facts and valuable insights. To start off, let's talk about the history of the penny itself. The 1-cent coin has been a staple of American currency for over 200 years. It was first introduced in 1793 and has gone through many changes in design and composition over the centuries, but the most iconic feature has always been the portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The 16th President of the United States, Lincoln, was chosen to appear on the penny in 1909, which marked the 100th anniversary of his birth. Since then, the penny has been often called the Lincoln cent and has become one of the most recognizable coins in the world. Fast forward to 2021, and the penny has gone through some subtle but important updates in design and production. The 2021 Lincoln penny features the familiar right-facing profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse or front side of the coin. This design was originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 and has remained largely unchanged, which is a testament to Lincoln's enduring legacy and popularity. On the reverse side of the 2021 penny, we see the Union Shield design. This design was introduced in 2010 and replaced the previous wheat ears and Lincoln Memorial designs. The shield symbolizes unity and strength, reflecting the spirit of the United States during the Civil War era and Lincoln's role in preserving the nation. The shield has 13 vertical stripes representing the original states and a horizontal bar above, symbolizing Congress. This design is both modern and patriotic, making the 2021 penny a meaningful piece of currency and collectible. Now let's get into the materials and production details. The 2021 penny is primarily made of zinc with a thin copper plating. This composition has been in use since 1982. Before that, pennies were mostly made of copper. The change was made to reduce production costs since copper prices had risen significantly. Despite the change in materials, the penny still retains its classic copper color and weight, making it visually consistent with older pennies. In terms of mintage, the 2021 penny was produced in very large quantities at the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver, making it a common coin in everyday circulation. However, despite its commonality, there are specific versions and mint marks that collectors look out for, which can affect the coin's value. This brings us to the topic of value and worth in today's market. The face value of the 2021 penny is obviously 1 cent, but its collector value can vary widely depending on condition, rarity, and demand. For example, an uncirculated or proof version of the 2021 penny can be worth more than its face value to collectors. Proof coins are specially made for collectors with a higher quality finish and limited numbers. These coins often come in special sets from the mint and can fetch a premium price online or in coin shops. But what about pennies that are actually worth a lot of money? Well, there are some rare Lincoln pennies from various years that are extremely valuable due to errors or limited minting, but the 2021 penny is not known for such errors yet. However, there are always exceptions. For example, pennies with minting errors such as double dies, misstrikes, or off-center prints can be very valuable if authenticated. These errors are usually accidental and occur during the production process, and they are highly sought after by collectors who love unique coins. The current market value for a standard 2021 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is usually just 1 cent, but uncirculated examples or proof coins can range anywhere from 50 cents to several dollars depending on their quality and packaging. Limited edition sets from the mint that include the 2021 penny can also be worth more, especially if they are unopened and in perfect condition. Over time, if the coin remains in pristine condition, it may appreciate in value, but like most modern coins, it takes time and rarity to significantly increase worth. In recent years, there has been growing interest in coin collecting as a hobby and investment, and the 2021 Lincoln penny is part of that trend. While it might not be the rarest or most expensive coin, it still represents an important piece of American history and currency that is accessible to almost everyone. Collectors often advise to hold on to uncirculated or proof coins, as they might become more valuable in the future, especially with Lincoln being such an iconic figure. So how can you tell if your 2021 penny is worth more than 1 cent? First, check the condition. Is the coin shiny and free from scratches or marks? Coins graded as mint state or MS by professional grading services usually command higher prices. Next, look for mint marks which appear under the date. The Philadelphia mint coins have no mint mark, while Denver mint coins have a D, sometimes a small s, indicates a coin struck at the San Francisco mint, which is usually a proof coin. You can also search for known errors or unusual features on your penny if you suspect your coin might be rare or an error coin. It's Best to get it appraised by a professional coin dealer or grading service. They can authenticate the coin and give you an estimate of its market value based on current demand and recent sales. To sum it all up, the Abraham Lincoln 2021 1-cent penny coin is more than just spare change. It carries a deep historical significance dating back over a century. The modern design featuring the Union Shield represents national unity and pride. The coin is made of zinc with a copper plating and produced in massive quantities, making it common in everyday use. However, special versions like proof coins and any error pennies could be worth a premium to collectors. While most 2021 pennies are worth their face value of 1 cent, uncirculated and proof versions can sell for a few dollars, and rare error coins even more. If you are a collector or just curious about the coin in your pocket, it's worth taking a closer look and perhaps holding onto the coin in good condition for potential future value. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more interesting coin history and market value updates. Also, leave a comment below if you have any 2021 pennies or rare coins you want to share or ask about. We love hearing from fellow collectors and coin enthusiasts. Until next time, keep collecting and stay curious.